and he wants to build his business in the most laziest way and do nothing. But you might call it lazy, but what it actually is that you have to develop a skill so sharp which allows you to be lazy, and that skill is leading people. So even think, oh, you know what, I just want to put my feet up and do nothing. You can only do that if your skill of leading people, you probably know the deep motivation of all of your senior staff at a really high level, a really deep level, sorry. And because you know that, you are able to drive motivation and build it that way. Most people don't see that level of skill that a good leader has to have.
Usman, my man, thank you for coming in today, brother. Looking forward to this conversation.
I'm ready and I'm pumped.
I'm pumped too, bro. We actually just recently met, like within the last year. Not in person yet. We still need to meet in person, but I think we align on a lot of things, so I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. And look, I always see that you like travel so much, and do you know when I see someone run a successful business and they are living life on their terms, what it actually tells me is they are good at systems, they're good at people management. Because from the outside, people online will see, oh, he's out, he's on holiday. And I always look at like, this person, for you to be able to do that, and you only know this by having done it, and I've got a very similar goal. Mm-hmm. You can only start to win back family time and do all of those things when, one, your priorities are in order. When your priorities are in order, you put systems and processes in place because of those constraints. So like, I was just curious, like how you've done it.
It's actually kind of funny, and I've said this actually a lot, pretty much from the very, very beginning, is that I'm very, and it sounds weird, but I'm very motivated by laziness, because I want to be able to do nothing at all. Like, I just want to spend time with family. I just want to travel. I want to go out to eat. You know what I mean? So I'm, from the very beginning, how I built my business was like, I'm not going to do this. So I have to be able to find the people that are going to do it, because I'm never going to do it. Like, I'm never going to be the person that gets on this sales call. I'm never going to be the person that gets on, that handles clients' work or talks to a client. I'm just not going to be that person, because I don't enjoy it. And I think a lot of people forget that, you know, we got out of like the 9-to-5 grind or whatever to be able to enjoy doing what we want to do, rather than being slaves to like an expensive hobby. You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is like, I mean, I say it in like a facetious way, but like, laziness motivates me. It's like, how can I do the least amount of work possible?
Do you know who Andrew Wilkinson is?
No, not familiar.
Okay, Andrew Wilkinson owns a holding company called Tiny, and he has the same mindset. And he has a book which is called Never Enough, From Barista to Billionaire. And he talks a lot about buying all this stuff and doing all these things, and then eventually learning that he actually is lazy, and he wants to build his business in the most laziest way and do nothing. But you might call it lazy, but what it actually is that you have to develop a skill so sharp which allows you to be lazy, and that skill is leading people.
For sure.
So where you might be able to say, even think, oh, you know what, I just want to put my feet up and do nothing. You can only do that if your skill of leading people under, like, you probably know the deep motivation of all of your senior staff at a really high level, a really deep level, sorry.
Yeah.
And because you know that, you are able to drive motivation and build it that way. Most people don't see that level of skill that a good leader has to have.
Yeah, most people are kind of fascinated by like when I have interviews with them, because I don't ask like traditional questions of like, oh, what's your experience here? Show me a case study. Like I don't ask any. I let my team handle like the experience side of things. I like the first question I always ask them is like, hey, what's your goal? Where are you trying to get? And then I always tell people that one of my biggest missions when hiring people is that they can accomplish their goal and they leave better. If they stay in my company forever, fantastic. But if they leave my company, they start their own whatever, that they leave better than when they came, because that's what really makes people, you know, want to work for you, is that you're trying to reach their goal and they don't feel like they're only in it for your goal. Like they're only just there to make you happy.
This is top of mind for me, what you're saying, because I'm writing a book about leadership.
Yeah.
And good leaders build other leaders. Now, when your employee tells you, like most CEOs, they get shocked when their staff member leaves them and opens their own business.
Right.
And it actually makes me think, you just didn't know your own team. They didn't trust you, because if they did trust you, they would have told you that. I've told all of my staff, even my video editor, I've told him, if you ever want to open your own business, just let me know and I'll even support you doing it. Because the whole point of life is not to make as much money as possible. It's to have conscious capitalism, which is to build other leaders and make other people successful. Because then I will also be inevitably successful doing that.
Yeah. And I want to know that day one. I want to know when people are coming into my business, like, hey, this is what I'm planning to do. I'm literally here to learn from you so that I can open up my own business. And then I'll help them do that, because they will work their butt off for the time that they're with you. I had a sales manager that worked for me for probably about, I think it was about 1.5 years or 2 years. Day one, he told me like, hey, my goal is to open up my own agency eventually. I'm like, sick. Let me teach you everything that I know. So eventually you'll have all the tools to be able to do the same thing for your own agency. And he was the best sales manager that I've had to date, because he was in it for his goal rather than for my goal. And most of the time when we're hiring people, we're thinking about, okay, this person's going to help me get to my goal. And that's the wrong thing, especially when you're trying to be a good leader. I'm sure you've noticed that as well with a lot of your team members.
Yeah. I'm there to facilitate your goals, and within that, my goals are hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't hire them if their goals didn't align with yours at the same time, obviously.
Yeah, I have one staff member in my entire business. I could never pinpoint his deep motivation, and I tried so many things. I tried asking him, I tried scooting around it, I tried saying to him, what would look like a gold medal for you? What would be this? And it was so hard. Yeah. And he was a staff member that, like, I got the least performance from. It was down to my fault. It was because I could not figure out what motivated him. And when I know what makes someone tick and what makes someone motivate, they will work 18 hours if they have to.
For sure.
Because I can make sure that the company goal is linked to their goal.
Yeah. Did you ever figure it out?
No, with
Still
that stuff.
Process?
Yeah.
We'll send him this video.
Yeah, with that staff member, I still have never figured it out. He's the only one out of all of my staff. And when I look back at, let's say I've been managing and leading people for over 10 years, every time I can't figure them out and my intuition is there, and I define intuition as a pattern of previous behaviors. So anytime I see that pattern that I can't crack someone and understand them, I find it very hard to get them to perform.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to your methodologies for, why you do what you do, what defines, what makes all of this joyful for you and you willing to do it? What makes you tick? What's your gold medal?
Yeah, I really love the word joyful, because in March this year, I was feeling really stressed, and I remembered I'm actually quite a silly person. I'm a very goofy, silly person, and I became so serious over the last 3 years, I forgot that playful side to me. And then I thought, I actually want to be silly again. And because I have a childlike curiosity, and I'm I like laughing. You can see these wrinkles on my eyes, and that's my personality. And a gold medal for me, it just looks like I am being joyful, and I have inner peace. So my mind is really calm, and I aggressively chased making money as much as possible. And I realized I make more money when my mind is in one word, softer. I know that's not a word that'll really work for a lot of people, but it's the absolute opposite of what Tate and everybody else promotes. Because if you look
it's the opposite of what people think men should be. They think we shouldn't be soft.
Yeah, and if you meet them, if anyone meets me, they'll think I'm incredibly masculine. I'm a big guy. I'm 250 pounds, 115 kilos, 6'4". I'm very muscular. I'm assertive, but internally, I'm calm. And people sometimes don't understand that.
Right.
So my gold medal, just to answer your question, is real harmony and peace in my mind, and family. I really want to have a family. I'm single in my 30s at the moment, and my number one goal is to meet someone and settle down. I think about family every day. Well, I have this mentality which is, for me to attract the right person, I have to be a provider. I have to be able to provide whatever that person's needs are. So like business allows me to be able to provide at a high level. And let's say my goals are, hey, I want to be able to live in any country in the world. I want to be able to fly wherever I want, in whatever, I don't want to fly business, I want to fly private, or however I want to travel. I want to do things at the highest level. And business allows me to do that. It allows me to change my standards from what I grew up in, which was like a very poor background, and now have a higher standard. And it allows me to have that.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me to, because I'm married with an incredible woman, and they always ask me like, "Hey, how did you do it?" You know what I mean? Like, especially people that know me, they're like, "How'd you do it?" You know what I mean? And it's like, I think what you said is important, because you attract people to the level that you're at, I feel. So if you want to attract an incredible woman, even to your point, like, hey, these are the goals that I'm setting for myself, and this is how my business is going to help me get there. You becoming not only a better businessman, but also a better person is going to attract a better woman, and the one that you, in the end, are meant to be with.
And you know, this message is it's really like it's an important message, because in my early in career, in my business specifically, I only wanted to hear conversations which is, how fast can I make money? What is the tactic I need to make money? And then you realize every tactic sits on top of your mind and your internal thoughts.
Yeah.
If you're internally messed up, you're insecure, you're you have issues, no tactics work, because you can't implement them.
Right.
So you have to fix your mind before you can fix anything else.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because then you're just using money and work as a way to kind of mask over those insecurities and those feelings, when in reality, and my mentor always says this, that there's no resurrection without death. So you have to die to those things in order to become the new person that you want to be.
Yeah, there's no resurrection without death. That's a good quote.
Yeah.
I like it. You're religious. You're Christian.
Yeah, I'm Christian.
And how do you know, because religion and business, I love Myron Golden. I love watching his stuff online.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few people I really love. I'm not a Christian person, but I just like listening to him, because he just speaks, which makes me think, how is this a message that you want to put in what you do? Because I can tell you this, you may think, I know not you, but in general, you may think Myron only attracts Christians, but I love his stuff. I absolutely would buy his program. His inner circle is crazy expensive. I would love to be a part of it. Right. But I'm not his core ICP, but I would still love to be a part of it. So is this something that you would you'd have in your messaging?
Yeah, of course. I try to involve it and even more now as I'm growing to learn the value that faith has, even in business, or just values in general, that I feel like people kind of long for it. I think the biggest turning point for me in my life and in my business is when I realized that chasing money without purpose is meaningless. So my values kind of forced me to stop and rethink everything. It made me rethink the way that I do business, how I do business. It made me not close deals that I didn't feel good about just for the money. It made me think about the people that I was actually hiring and their motivations and what they wanted to accomplish in life and what their values were. Because if you're just after the money, you'll sign any client that you ever want to sign. You will make money however you want to make money, even if it doesn't even provide value to people. You'll hire people that you might not even like, but you think they're going to make you the most money. And all of that stuff is just either headaches, or you feel like in your soul that there's something that's missing, or something that you're doing improperly. That was one of the reasons I could never get into drop shipping, because I saw all these people making loads of money and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what's going to make me rich. But then I looked at it, I'm like, what they are selling is absolute rubbish. It's useless. It provides no value to anyone. And so, I mean, I'm sure you could argue that there's some stuff out there that does, but that was always the factor for me of like, I need to actually build something and do something that helps people in the way that I believe that, I'm meant to help people.
I love that. Someone recently said to me, "Do I want to help them with like their ads for their e-commerce business?" And you had a T-shirt brand, and I said no because I thought, "Does the world need another T-shirt?" And I said no because I didn't think the world needs another T-shirt, and it's such a because I could have made money from it. And look, I'll be honest, I'm not the type to be righteous to say no. I think this is what the world needs. I actually want to make a lot of money. I am driven by money, but on that occasion, I just didn't think the world needed another T-shirt, so I said no.
100%. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong about being driven by money. I think it's more like what your end goal is. Like if your end goal is only money, it's just going to end up empty for you. But as you've said, like your end goal is money so that I can have time with my family, so that I can attract the right woman, so that I can have a certain lifestyle, so that I can help my employees reach their goals, etc. Where if it's just like, hey, I just want to be rich and just have so much stupid money, well, you're going to be like all these rich millionaires that die with all the money in the bank and all the regret in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And some people listening to this this might not be their problem. Their problem today, it might be more tactical. They might have a problem today, which will be like, hey man, I just want to generate leads. I just want to be able to get some more sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say 90%, or what would you say the percent, if you was to guess, of percent of people struggle to get leads online? What would you say?
You might disagree with this because obviously you're in sales, but when I poll people because I've worked with a lot of people, I have a community of people that I've worked with, especially with other marketing agencies, but I feel like lead generation is like the common denominator of what people have issues with or want more of always, no matter what. Even if they have a ton of leads, they always say, I still want more.
Yeah.
I think it is kind of a flaw that I think some people have enough leads and it's not really their actual biggest problem. But I feel like everyone in their mind, for some reason, they're just like, I just need more leads. I just want more.
Do you think that fallacy exists because they're just thinking, I just need more shots on goal. Mm-hmm. I don't need to work my accuracy of getting the ball in the net. But 100%. If I just shoot more often, eventually it'll work out. Do you think it's that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because even if they hit 1 of 10 shots, they're like, well, if I shoot 20, then I'll make 2. It's like, well, actually, if you adjust your positioning, if you work on your balance, if you practice your accuracy, then you could actually hit 3 of 10. And now you're doing twice as much as you would be doing if you got double the amount of leads. You know what I mean? So I absolutely agree with you, but people think that, I think people think that more leads is always the answer.
So why do people struggle getting leads? Why does most of the industry struggle getting leads?
I think that if your offer can't make your audience feel understood in 2 seconds, your funnel is toast. Like no matter how great your product actually is, if you can't capture those people's attention and you can't bring them in and speak their language to their minds, then you're not going to be able to capture that person as a lead. One of the biggest things that we do that a lot of people skip is we do a lot of like research and micro testing. We're talking like going into Reddit, going into Facebook groups, all these different things, and finding commonalities of like the emotions and things people are feeling. For example, if you're looking for, I don't know, someone that's a voice coach or helping people with IRS debt, we're looking for like the deep triggers and the deep quote, like the deep emotions that people are feeling to whatever it's causing them. Like, oh, I have a leadership problem, and so because of that, I can't do any public speaking, and because I can't public speak, I can't move up in my job because my boss wants me to lead more presentations, but I have a fear of public speaking, so I can't, right? And so all of those emotions, all those raw emotions are what people actually feel. So we look for those commonalities of what we use is their exact quotes, and instead of paraphrasing it or doing it in the way that we think is the right way, we want to do it in the way that the audience that we're trying to attract feels it. So if I can reach them within 2 seconds because I'm using their exact words, they immediately think that I understand them no matter what, right?
So it's really research what you're saying, because let's say you were going to go and I said to you, right, I want you to start selling a mice online. I want you to start selling these. How many hours of research do you think you would go into, you personally, if you had to launch this product before you was to say, this is how I'm going to generate leads for this?
Yeah, I mean, the OG way, it would take like a week. Now we have AI to help us curve a lot of that learning step, because we've built like software around it that we use internally. But the OG way, you would literally go through Reddit boards, look for what people were saying about, their mice and why they didn't like them, and oh, they were too glossy, oh, they got too dirty, there was too much gunk in them, oh, they ran out of battery too fast, oh, the cord's too short, all these different things. And then you find these communities, especially like anonymous communities, and you try and you like poll. You like poll like, hey, what's the biggest issue that you have with mice? And if I was able to solve this, what would it look like? So let's dive into like some of the sales stuff. So everyone says that like good scripts, sales systems, objection handling, but like what actually separates good salespeople from great ones?
Good salespeople are just question askers. They're not. So let's say there's a scale, and the scale which is industry knowledge, and then on this scale, oh my God, my camera's jumping about now. Let's say oh God, I couldn't even put my hand up, because let's say on this side of the scale you have industry knowledge, and on this side of the scale you have salesmanship. So this is your hard closer who knows nothing about the industry. And on this side you are an expert in the industry. What happens is most founders fall into too much knowledge and too much coaching on a call. Mm-hmm. And most salespeople fall into not enough advice or not enough expertise. And it has to be a middle ground, because on every sales call, you're actually selling two things. It's not one. You're selling the outcome, which most people know that they're selling. But the second thing is that you're selling the method. So you're selling how it's going to be accomplished. And you have to convince people on both things. So you're gonna believe that I'm gonna get you to the outcome, but the method that I'm gonna do it with is also you believe in that method. And if you can't sell both of those things whilst asking really good deep questions to get them to open up and to find their deepest desire, which is B2C emotional selling, B2C logical selling, then you'll never close the deal. You need to be able to both. So sell two things on every sales call and understand, is this an emotional buyer or logical buyer?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And you like selling like really, really high ticket stuff. Like even before you came on this call, you're like, sorry, I was late. I had to close a $50K deal. Everyone throws around like high ticket, but how do you confidently sell at like 20, 50, even 100K without flinching?
First is internal, where you have to truly believe it's really good value. So if you can't provide 10x in value return, then you shouldn't be pitching it. Because once you do, your tone of your voice is there, because you're like, of course it's going to work, 100%. And people will buy it because it's got that 10x value. So like we've closed a deal which has been a 150K deal for a company. And we were running their entire sales function. They're already making a couple of million per year, and they're trying to scale up. And the deal just seems logical to them, because it is logical. And the more sophisticated the business owner, not only do the more they earn, the more they spend, but the more they can just see the ROI. So the selling of like a 50K package is more down to me feeling like I can provide that value.
Right.
And if you struggle to sell a 5K package, it's usually down initially to your sales skills, or it's down to like an internal battle where you don't truly believe in what you're selling.
And those type of leads, where are you getting those leads? Because those leads aren't coming from like, they're not coming from like a low ticket funnel or something like that.
Yeah, so from Facebook ads, we'll attract leads, but they don't tend to spend 50K with us.
Right.
And they also have a lesser chance of an upsell when they come from Facebook ads. When they come from referral, they'll spend 50K. When they come from meeting me in person, they'll spend 50K plus. So you're 100% right. It depends how they know me. Like, you've not met me before, and if you feel like we don't have a lot of mutual friends, you're less likely to spend 50K with me. You're more likely to think, let me just start a bit smaller, and that's just like how trust works. And the better you get at marketing, the best marketers know how to get so much pre-selling in place, whether it's email, video content, your omnipresence all over the internet. They know how to do that to get you to spend more money and close a deal. And that's what a good marketer is really good at. And you need a good salesperson at the other side of it to close the deal. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, the better the marketing, the less skill you need from salespeople. The worse the marketing, the more skill you need from salespeople.
That's true.
So, and if you have a very skilled salesperson and a very skilled marketer, that's when you can sell anything. You can
100%.
literally, then you're a homozy, and you can be like, you know what, I'll just take 20% of your company now.
Yeah, exactly.
So the strength of your marketing really determines how good your salespeople need to be as well.
For sure. Yeah. And that's kind of goes back to even what I was talking about with the research aspect. Like, if through the marketing, through the funnel, everything, they feel like you're actually speaking their language and that you've solved the problem they have, whatever it might be. Like you said, by the time they get to that sales call, there's nothing to be sold. They're already sold, and they're just, at that point, the closer is just the person collecting the payment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 5 years ago, I was the type of sales guy who didn't understand about marketing and thought it's all me. Mm-hmm. I used to think it's all me. I've closed that deal. My sales team has crushed it because I drove their performance. But then now that like we link arms with every CMO and every company that we work with, we know that we need to be even closer with the CMO, and the closer of a relationship that we have, the better we do. And it's all
100%.
downstream from marketing. Marketing is always the first thing that amplifies the message, gets the eyeballs, gets the attention, and then the sales team is. And there's also there's sales and there's sales operations, and most people don't know the difference. And you have to have both. But like, if I just wanted to throw the question back to you, do you think most high-ticket coaches should focus more on audience building or conversion first? So, which do you think someone should focus on?
You mean audience building, like building content and stuff like that?
Yeah, so like in the marketing, like we can talk about every side of marketing.
Sure.
I can tell you, when I used to do billboards and leaflets, what other conversion I used to get, all the way to now conversions with Facebook ads and content organically. So I know marketing in a very broad sense now, in deep,
Sure.
in every side, but specifically for content-based creators, people who have a high-ticket course. Do you think they should focus on like just getting an audience first, or do you think, let me get some conversion first and then work on it?
I mean, I think it goes back to what your end goal is, right? Because content obviously requires a lot of time. You have to invest a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's your own time, it's your own energy. And if you're relying on content as your sole source of income, then you're really just an employee of your company. You're not actually the person that owns your company, right? And that means if you want to take off 3 months, or your wife is pregnant and you want to be with her for her whole maternity leave or whatever, or you have your first child and you want to be with them for 3 months, or if you just want to go on vacation and escape and not talk to anyone, like, you can't, your business then relies on your content. I mean, sure, you could definitely build out content for 3 months and then all that kind of stuff, but I think that both are very, very important depending on what your goal is and depending what your end goal is. And I think this is another important topic, because everyone says like, no, this is the right way. No, this is the right way. No, this is how you make money. It's like, actually and I say this a lot, there's 1,000 ways to the top of the mountain. All of them lead to the top of the mountain. You just have to pick the one that's right for you. So I know this
Yeah.
isn't an answer to your question, but I would say neither is more important to do first. It's whatever is most important to you. However, if your goal is to make the most amount of money possible, you have to do both, right? And I don't think there's one that you start with before the other. Unless you're starting like flat broke, I don't have any money, then obviously you can't do any advertising and you have to do content. But assuming that you have money, do both, because then they're both going to feed and complement each other. Your content and your audience is going to build that trust and is going to give you that credibility and that authority, whereas your marketing and your advertising is going to push you out to a broader audience that wouldn't see you if it wasn't for your content. But then they also might go look at your content, which gives you more authority. And then if you have content that goes viral, you're able to use that for your advertising. But they both very much so feed each other. That's why when we work with creators, info, whatever it might be, we really like working with people that have gone viral before and that are good at social media, because then that makes our job so incredibly easy, because we just take a lot of that content that's already gone viral and we turn it into ads and we build a funnel out based on the audience that they've already grown. But then we're just taking the reach that they have. Say they have 500 million views. We just take that reach and then we just go out and get 500 million impressions that they've never had before. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but that's kind of my philosophy behind it.
It does answer the question. It leads on to another question, which is when you're, like, let's say you're going to help a creator specifically, someone who's gone viral with their ads, and then you said you're running their what's gone viral on an ad. Is it the same mechanism? Because on ads, to get the highest click-through rate on an ad, is it the same mechanism what made people click organically? Do you think the mind is structured in that way? Because when you look at the best ads that convert, they have a lot of motion graphics at the moment, or VO3 ads, you know, all the stuff that's getting really high click-through rate, compared to organic. It's so different. So is it the best organic, run it as ads and you'll get a high click-through rate?
It really depends on the organic, right? If it's just something that's got loads of views, maybe not, because it could have just been an inflammatory statement. It could have just been something that, made people mad, that polarized people. It could be a few different things or reasons why it went viral, or it could have just entertained people. But if you're able to, get access to the account or look at the actual metrics of the video, like did it have a lot of comments? Did it have a lot of saves? Did it have a lot of shares? Things like that. That gives you more of an insight of what people's reactions were to the actual video, and the nature of the video. And then what we'll do is we'll grab a lot of that content. We'll just change the call to the action on it. So for example, if your call to action is like, hey, comment below framework and I'll send you over my sales framework. And we saw that they got thousands of comments, that the video went super viral. That's going to do well as an ad. We just need to change that call to action to let me build your sales framework. Click on my link below to come to my landing page and see how I'll do it for you. That type of thing. So it really depends on the type of organic content that it is. If you're like Andrew Tate or something like that, your viral content's probably not going to sell much. You know what I mean?
And for the guys who they know how to go viral, but then because if you run ads and you've already been viral and you've got a good brand, you will have just a lower cost of acquisition, lower cost per lead. Every metric will be far better.
Yeah.
But if you do that without a brand, can you still actually grow a good business? Like, I always look at upfront ROAS, and upfront cash ROAS, if it's less than 1.13 in the current day, you can't make money.
Right.
So how do you because it's so expensive on Facebook now. Like a lead cost me $120 for me.
Right. Yeah. So your question was around how to do it if you don't have that type of audience.
Yeah. If you don't have a brand, how can you make ads profitable? Does it still work? Let's say you don't have high rolls, not spending enough to even use high rolls, you're spending less than 3K. How are you supposed to make ads work?
Yeah. I mean, it's so organic content, it can benefit your ads, because if someone sees your ads and then goes and looks at your profile, it certainly can. But we like working with people that have gone viral because they have understood one principle, which is how to speak to their target audience, how to attract them, and how to retain their attention. So if you don't have a personal brand, that's perfectly fine. You still just have to learn how to do the same thing. And you do that through the ad content. And that goes back to what I was saying about understanding and being able to speak your audience's language. If you know like the actual pain that they're feeling, then it's easier for you to speak to someone else's pain. That's why a lot of these, weight loss influencers, they're able to bring in people so easily because they had the pain of being overweight, and then they are able to speak directly to their audience of how it was to overcome that and how it absolutely completely transformed and changed their lives. So it's the same process of just really understanding who your audience is and then being able to speak to them directly and then just testing. I mean, the beautiful thing about ads is you don't have to wait for the algorithm to grab your ad. You just put money behind it so you know if it's going to work immediately, whereas organic takes a lot more testing and a lot more time, because I can have an ad that I make 3 years ago that makes me money today. Whereas, a video that went viral for you 3 years ago is not going to do anything for you today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. And if I think back to like our more successful sales teams, like some of our sales teams are doing well over $1 million a month. And the most successful ones, like I'm thinking of one particular, he makes 3 new ad variations every day and launches them, and waits for those 3 new variations to get 5,000 impressions, and the ones that don't do good drops. And it's where we get the script for that from is he has his original script that he launched months ago. And every time we have a sales call, that we transcribe it, feed it back to the ad script, and the pain points keep changing and the hook keeps tweaking just slightly. Like this week we moved the word ownership to take control. Just like 1-2 words will just switch, or 1 word switches all the time. And then before you know it, he's got his perfect script which converts. And then we're just discussing with him on maybe, now that we found a really good script that's converting really well, maybe shooting a commercial like Sabri Subi style with that script. Well, there's offers, there's good offers, and there's grand slam offers. And like when you look at Hamoz's new book launch for money models, he uploaded a carousel the other day saying, this is what you get if you are an affiliate and if you're promoting it. We're going to write you the templates, we're going to give you all this stuff, we're going to fly you out to Vegas to meet me, we're going to go to dinner with me, you're going to do all... It's like he creates so much of like, the offer just becomes like a no-brainer. And it's like, even I've struggled, like years ago I used to struggle with like creating a no-brainer offer. And like on our fractional sales management, it's a no-brainer offer because it's like, we'll just do it all for you and charge you performance. And then on the other side, on the consulting, it's way harder because there's more competitors. And even though it's an amazing service and product, the offer's harder to portray to someone because it involves them doing some work. Yeah, so we now changed our main KPI for sales. We used to look at show rate, close rate, and look at those metrics. And we changed to be a sales index. So what we look at is, we look at like a cash index for sales, where how much money you're spending in marketing for ads, commissions, salaries, to how much money came in on sales. And we just look at that one ratio now. And now every company that we work with, we build them a dashboard. So if they use HubSpot, they'll kind of put it in there. If they don't use HubSpot, we'll kind of make it into a Google Sheet. And we'll give them one metric for that CEO where they just look at that one thing, and then we'll make it predictable as possible. And if they are good at marketing, we will have predictable revenue on sales for them. So we've now built it out in a way where it's incredibly structured, incredibly thought out, and it's just way deeper than show rate and close rate, because show rate could be a marketing issue, could be a sales issue. It could be you're not got the right sequence, or it could be your salespeople aren't confirming. Close rate, it could be 90% of the time it's a sales issue, salesperson issue, but it could be a marketing issue in terms of something was promoted and the sequence of the customer journey that was not in line with the sales call and how that was run. For example, if we have someone that we worked with who was like coaching offer for like doctors, teaching doctors, and the salespeople were wearing a doctor's outfit and it increased the close rate. And it's so funny how we got the salespeople just to wear a doctor's outfit, because in the ads he was wearing a doctor's outfit, and that's all we changed. It made the close rate higher. It's so strange. So we have to look at everything from marketing and sales now, not just sales. But the metric that we look at is a cash index. Yeah, we won't do a fractional deal with them. So we do an audit now. So before we used to look on a sales call and have multiple sales calls, but now we do a paid audit for like 5K, where they'll pay us for an audit. We'll get added into their CRM for 7 to 10 days. We'll listen to their calls, mystery shop them, look at their lead gen, go through their funnel. We'll just go to their team meetings, and then we'll come up with a fractional deal. That was the one mistake that we were making on fractional, because what happened, we got stung a few times where we would have a client, and anytime the client was making less than $3 or $4 million per year, they would have ADHD, so they would change their offer all the time. Every 6 months they changed their offer, and the sales team suffered. And those deals would just hurt us on fractional. So now we only do those deals where the business owner is more sophisticated. And on the consulting, we can help you get to that sophistication level. So usually that's a feeding ground for fractional. Yeah, so everything that we teach is down to the business's core values. So first we define what the core values are for the business, which when a business doesn't have core values and mission, we know they're never going to make a lot of sales anyway, because they're like any young entrepreneur who's just launching his first business has not thought out core values and mission, because it's just like, I just want to make money, which is why it's hard to drive sales performance and why there's a lot of mis-selling that happens, because mis-selling happens when there's no alignment in core values and mission. And as the business owner becomes more clear on their mission, you then can hire people and say, this is the mission for the company. And every time if they're on a sales call, because FTC will get stricter and stricter now in the coming years, and as someone's on a sales call and they don't say the right thing, we will say, is that in line with the core values? And we'll ask them, why is it not in line with the core values? And then they'll just not sell like that again. So we just have quality control, and we QC calls, not just on sales techniques, but also the ethics of the sales call. We use Fathom for all of our AI, and then we will prompt calls from Fathom, the transcription, into a ChatGPT bot, and then we will grade the call, and then it comes up with a full grading system on how the discovery was, percentage that the salesperson spoke compared to the other person, what words they used, and then our entire framework is in that prompt. And then what we do is we then get a manual person, a sales coach, to listen and cross-reference the AI and what the coach, because the one thing that we can't pick up on is tone and expression. For example, if I said to you, are you interested in doing this with us? And then I sent it, and I said the same thing to you, and I moved into the camera and I said it, the energy is so different. The way I've said the same words, same tone, but my body language changed. And if I sit back, it means something different. So that stuff you can't do with AI yet, maybe in the future, but 80% of it we can do with technology. Yeah, if a salesperson's speaking 20% of the time, we know that that's usually going to be a higher chance of a closed deal. So the less percentage the salesperson speaks, the higher chance the deal gets closed. And the more the salesperson speaks, the lower your close rate. And we can see that across the board, like through thousands of reps. Like the key metrics of like speaking are one. And also, there's another issue that comes up with salespeople, because if a salesperson's been on an offer for more than 8 months, we find their close rate seems to drop over time, because they start to create issues in their own head that don't exist. Because they've been selling this offer and they now think the offer's old and the offer's no longer the same because they've been selling it for so long. So the way they pitch it changes. So that also affects the sales call, which is why sometimes we'll do things for internal marketing. For example, like we'll just tell the sales team, we just started a new campaign and these leads are costing us twice as much. They're way better. They're the same leads, but the close rate goes up. So you just have to be able to know how to drive salespeople, and sometimes it's their belief that's stopping them, not anything else. Yeah, we fire as a last resort. We don't do the internet marketing thing, which is, yeah, he's not performing for 2 weeks, he's out. We actually love working with people and developing people. So, and usually if you take the time to develop someone, they'll stick with your business far longer, they'll be a better employee, they will progress up, they will have loyalty to your brand because they'll they'll cherish those skills that they've developed to your business. So it's not just black and white between shit close rate, fired. Usually, if someone has a terrible close rate, it's because you're a terrible coach or your SOPs and systems aren't there. So, like, I believe, because I've been sales coaching for 10 plus years, I can get someone who has learning difficulties, who struggles with basic tasks to learn sales, because I'm patient enough to spend the time to learn. It will take them 5 times longer, 10 times longer, but they can still learn it. Everyone can learn anything, but for some people, it just takes way longer. So right now, there's a difference between talent. Can I start playing football today? Can I start playing tennis today? Some would say no, but there is a level of competency I can get just by sheer practice and hours. Most founders look for really good closers, but they don't facilitate their win. So they look for someone to rescue their business. So every marketer out there wants a world-class closer, but they can't handle that closer because what they don't have is good leadership, good training, good progression for their closer. They think giving 10K a month is enough for a closer to be happy. Well, not every closer has the same motivation. So you have to have all of your internal systems right for you to attract those people. If you have a biz op offer, you want to make 20K a month, yeah, you will close deals yourself and someone will help you do it. But to grow a company, it can't be done that way. Every time, the churn rate in the sales staff is 50%. So every time you have fired someone, there's a lesson within it, which is, what was their onboarding? Why was it not good enough? Could they have been recruited better? Usually we can tie up something where they are showing up late to sales meetings. Well, they showed you those attributes in the interview and you ignored them. So everything is downstream from the recruiting, the onboarding. Did you ever talk about lateness and punctuality in your onboarding as a business? No, why should we ever mention don't come late? Well, some people don't understand the importance of it. So is there an SOP in your business on how you handle punctuality? And most businesses don't have those things, and then they blame the person, not blame themselves. I have in my business a code of conduct on how to even show up to a meeting and how to even make sure you're wearing a shirt. It sounds simple and stupid. Do I need to tell people to wear that? But no, it's there because in case someone doesn't know.
Just say, for example, I'm teaching you how to drop ship. Like, you're showing them live how they can make money day after day, and so then it seems realistic to them because they're actually seeing you do it live. You're breaking all those barriers. You're solving all those doubts. You don't have to do any objection handling because they've seen you do it. There's no objections to it. Like, they've seen you do it, and that's why challenges can work super well for offers that work quick like that. Like if you're reselling homes in real estate, maybe even like crypto trading, like different things like that, challenges work for super well also. Different than a webinar, because a webinar is great because it's like, hey, here's my story, here's what I've been able to accomplish, you can do it too. Where a challenge is like, hey, here's my story, here's what I've been able to accomplish, let me do it live with you and show you that it's possible right now in these next 3 days.
So do you think someone could run just an application form, no VSL, and that funnel, they don't have a lot of organic content, they just make an ad to an application form, can they still make money?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They can.
Yeah, a lot of because sometimes simple funnels do really, really well. Like we have companies that we work with where it's just ad straight to a landing page. On the landing page, there's a form, they fill it out. There's a disqualifier on the form. If they're qualified, it leads them to a book call. No fancy VSLs, no fancy opt-ins, no fancy like upsells or bumps or low ticket things at the front. Like sometimes the simplest of ones work if you put in the research first. All those fancy marketing tactics, they use them because they don't know their audience. So they kind of have to I mean, I'm not saying this in a bad way. It still works, obviously, but it's almost kind of like they're forcing them through the funnel. Like, yeah. Oh, buy this $7 thing from me. Oh, this next thing is going to be the next best thing. Oh, this next one is booking a call with me, right? If you don't truly know your audience, you have to come up with clever things. You have to come up with clever webinars. You have to come up with clever challenges. You have to try and be clever and come up with something unique. Whereas if you're able to speak directly to your audience, it doesn't really matter what you do. It's going to work. So a book a call funnel is going to work. A challenge is going to work. A webinar is going to work. DM ads are going to work. Lead magnets are going to work. Everything will work, right? And so that's the difference between like a good offer and a bad offer is. And so when we work with people, we'll start with a book a call funnel, and then we'll diversify ourselves to all the other ones, because you'll be able to reach a broader audience doing challenges, doing webinars, doing DM ads, doing lead magnets, doing low ticket funnels, doing subscriptions, all these different things, because it's going to diversify the audience and be able to reach to people that you wouldn't have been able to reach to on your book a call funnel. But if your book a call funnel doesn't work, those things aren't going to work.
Yeah.
Sure, one of them might work, but they're all not going to work. And it's because the way your offer is built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can still work, but they just need to do enough research to get it to work.
If your offer is good, all of them should work. You should be able to speak on stages about it. You should be able to do lead magnets on it. You should be able to have an email newsletter on it. You should be able to go viral on LinkedIn. Like it should work for everything. You know what I mean? If you know your audience well enough, and if you've researched your audience well enough, you don't have to do like fancy tricks. The fancy tricks are to broaden your audience when you've already found something that works.
So then naturally as you spend more, do you mean naturally as you spend more, you broaden, or broaden the audiences within the manager?
Yeah, as you spend more, because eventually you're going to not necessarily hit a plateau, but leads are going to start getting more and more expensive as you spend more. And with like a challenge, with a webinar, with a low ticket funnel, with a subscription funnel, with different funnels like that, your audience is going to be broader than it is if you're just running a book call funnel, right? You're going to be able to reach people that wouldn't close necessarily on a book call funnel, but would close on a low ticket funnel, or would close after they were inside of some kind of, $74 subscription community or something like that.
I hear you. Really good advice. I absolutely love it. It's like, because I have a good understanding of marketing, and for me, my entire journey has been around, I was already good at sales, and now I have to be an amazing marketer, and now I have to be really good at brand. My now goal is brand, because once I've covered ads and content, brand is actually the biggest thing for me to work towards now, which is most of my focus goes there.
For sure. I just prefer ads because, once again, motivated by laziness. So I don't have to build content. I just have to have a team that does ads well, and they can scale my companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It's a good method. You're going to have to make a book, which is all around the lazy entrepreneur.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that one day. Book funnels are actually good too. That's another good one. I learned that from Taylor Welsh.
Yeah, I just recently with book funnels. So we had someone really popular, a big influencer, do a book funnel, and we just found the logic was we're going to call all those leads from the book funnel, and we're going to call them and try to triage them into sales calls. It just seemed really tough. Mm-hmm. The metrics from calling getting the setter to call everybody else instead, we just could not get the same KPIs. I just tried so many things. Even the speed to lead was within 60 seconds of them buying the book, and still couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, I imagine it'd be a similar process if you were able to call every single person that watched your YouTube video, right? It's like a lot of those people might not be interested, and it might be more off-put by the fact that you called them than if you hadn't. So when we talk about it, it's more about like the remarketing. So if people buy a book, we'll remarket to them. But then it's also the authority building, right? Because they've spent however many hours reading your book. They know your name, they know how you talk, they know how you write. And so the next thing that you sell them, they're likely to buy. But if you do it that way before they've read the book or before they even are sold by that person, then my guess is they'd probably be pretty off-put and then probably not even end up reading the book.
Yeah.
My guess.
But it's still worth trying. I think
Yeah.
that is one thing I want to try, so which is a book film, which I might ask you about in the future.
Sure, absolutely, brother. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, brother. It was a great conversation. I could talk for another hour with you through sales, lead gen, life, all of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But I appreciate you coming through. If you had one thing that you could say about like the most common held belief about high ticket sales that companies get wrong or that people get completely wrong, what would that thing be?
I just need another closer. I just need another setter. You don't need another person. You need to know why they didn't last, why they didn't perform, and that's because of your system.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like that.
Systems equal shortcuts, and shortcuts are real. No matter what Hormozi tells you, look for the shortcuts, and those
Yeah.
are from systems.
Awesome. I love that, brother.
No, I really appreciate speaking to you, Zach. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We will see you on the next one. And once again, many of you will watch, but very few of you will actually listen.